Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies, and today I want to tell you about all the best stuff Netflix is adding in December 2020. So in this episode, I'll be telling you about everything Netflix is adding in the month of December. What's hot, what's not, what's good enough to watch but maybe with low expectations, as well as everything leaving during the month of December. This video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN, but I'll tell you more about them later in this video. In this episode, I'll be blowing past some favorites, some things that you know and love, stopping to spend a little more time talking about and explaining some of the lesser known titles getting added to Netflix, as well as some of the most interesting new release stuff Netflix is adding this month. One last bit of housekeeping: if you see this Darren Van Dam logo show up in the corner, it means it's one of my top picks during the month of December. But let's go ahead and start in chronological order with all the stuff they add on December 1st, which is all the stuff that you know and love. On December 1st, they're adding Chef, which is a movie I absolutely love. I wish I could say it was family friendly because it is a good movie to watch with the family, except it's loaded with F-bombs. But if you love good food, you love cooking shows, this is a great one to watch. It's also just got a lot of heart to it, and it's just a very, very good movie. I cannot recommend it enough, but do not watch it on an empty stomach. The Jurassic Park trilogy gets added back. It comes and goes, but it's been a while since it's been on Netflix, and it's been a while since I've seen any of these movies. My son is getting almost old enough to maybe watch one of these, but Jurassic Park was my absolute favorite movie growing up as a kid, and I still love it, and so many of the graphics hold up surprisingly well from the original movie. There are some shots that are done CGI that look as good as anything that comes out today, and some that aren't quite as good. But you know, classic Steven Spielberg, at least on the first two. He did not direct the third, but he did direct E.T. That gets added back. I hate to even mention it here because I didn't even know it had left. It has not been long since it's been on Netflix. In a completely different genre, The Happy Time Murders is a somewhat recent release. It's only a couple of years old. In fact, I did a full video review on this where for some stupid reason I got electrocuted for real. I guess I'll link to that in the description below, but this movie's concept is better than its delivery. It's a movie, it is a crime movie about a homicide with puppets, and most of the humor just tries to be crude to sort of juxtapose it to the puppets. If you love the idea of this movie, then it's worth watching enough, but if you're not in love with the idea, there's not really any meat on the bone whatsoever with this movie, meaning there's no reason to watch it in addition to the concept. 3 Days to Kill is a PG-13 action movie sort of in the vein of Taken, where they take a older, aging actor like Kevin Costner or Liam Neeson and put them in an action movie. That's basically what this one is. If you're into that, that's great. And then 50 First Dates is one of the better Adam Sandler date movies. There's no shortage of Adam Sandler movies on Netflix right now, and yet they're adding more with 50 First Dates and Little Nicky this month. They're also adding The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, both on the first. A decent double feature if you're into them. One or two times was enough for me. I enjoyed these movies, but they're not necessarily strong Darren Van Dam recommendations. If you have not seen them though, they are among the better movies getting added this month. Kung Fu Panda 2 also gets added. It's good enough, it's funny, Jack Black is great in almost everything. This one's no exception. And then Monster House is another animated movie for the family that would have been great during Halloween, but it really is still fantastic to watch anytime. However, it can be pretty scary for very young kids. There's some pretty intense stuff from the very beginning in this movie, but if your kids are a little bit older and can handle it, this is a solid sort of horror thing that the whole family can watch. And on the first, they're also adding Peppermint, which is another recent release, yet another sort of action movie where instead of taking a more grizzled actor like Kevin Costner, they take Jennifer Garner, who is just easily one of the most beautiful women on the planet. And also, you may not remember, she made her career doing action movies. It's been quite a while, so you can check her out in Peppermint on the first. They're also adding Stargate SG-1 seasons 1 through 10 for my sci-fi nerds in the audience. They're also adding Medea's Big Happy Family and Why Did I Get Married? as well as Runaway Bride. If you didn't get enough of any of those movies in the past, they're all dropping on the 1st. Now, there are more things getting added, but that is everything I thought was of interest on the 1st. Now we'll go through the rest of the month, which will include more of the new content that they're adding. But before moving on, let's talk about CyberGhost VPN for 1 minute. This is a service that is going to allow you to unlock more movies using your current Netflix subscription. And right now, my viewers, when they go to the link in the description, you'll see a Darren Van Dam page and you will get up to 83% off your service depending on which package you choose. With this, not only is your web browsing going to be secure, safe, and private, you're going to be able to access Netflix in other countries. And there are vastly different libraries available in different countries because of licensing issues. Other countries have big budget movies that came out in the US in theaters that Netflix US cannot get. Likewise, if you're in another country, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about in this video may not be getting added in your country in December, but you can access them if you have a CyberGhost VPN account. Plus, they have a fantastic 45-day money-back guarantee. They've got great 24/7 customer support, and you can use CyberGhost VPN on up to 7 devices at the same time, and it's all the different types of devices you're already used to using. So just visit the link in the description and get up to 83% off for a limited time. But let's go ahead and move on with the rest of December.
By applying the laws of life on Earth, it's possible to imagine what could live on alien worlds.
On the 2nd, they're adding something I'm extremely interested in. It's called Alien Worlds. This is a Netflix documentary series that looks like it's showing what life might be like on some other planets that we have discovered. While this is kind of big time fantasy stuff that's only like half based in science, I'm still just really interested to see how creative people were kind of coming up with life forms that might exist just based on the cursory knowledge we have of some other planets. That has got to be one of the nerdiest sentences I've ever said in my life, but I'm into it. It looks cool. I'm gonna be checking it out. On the 3rd, they add a Chico Bon Bon Christmas special. This has been my son, he's 4. It's been his favorite show of the year. There's multiple seasons already on there, and it's just perfect for kids around his age because there's no violence, there's no fighting, there's no bad attitudes, and they're short and sweet so my kids can watch a few together or just one. It really makes bedtime a little bit easier when I've got short shows that I can sort of put on without letting them veg out in front of the TV for an hour. Sticking with animated specials for the kids, there's a new Captain Underpants Christmas special. This is really funny stuff as well. Not great for real young kids because it's a lot of toilet humor, but for slightly older kids, it's really just hilarious stuff. I think it's funny and enjoy watching it as well. And then sticking with animated stuff, but something that's certainly not for kids, is Big Mouth Season 4, which gets added on the 4th as well. Now, still on the 4th. The 4th is a big day for Netflix. They're adding Selena, the series. You may remember this was a big time movie with Jennifer Lopez, obviously based on the real singer. Now there is a series. I don't know too much about it. I looked at the writers. I'm not familiar with their other work, but the actress playing Selena is actually Rosita from The Walking Dead. She's not been in many things, but this looks like a pretty big, pretty meaty role, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with her career after this, if this is indeed one of those big shows that people talk about. But the biggest movie coming to Netflix probably for the month of December also drops on the 4th. It's called Mank. And this movie's a big deal because it's the first feature film directed by legendary director David Fincher in over 5 years. I believe we're creeping up on 7 years. He's gone into TV, some Netflix series including Mindhunter and House of Cards, but he's returning to feature films. I can't wait to see what he does with this, because in this movie, Gary Oldman plays the screenwriter behind one of the greatest movies ever made, Citizen Kane. You get one of the greatest directors working today, one of the greatest actors, about the making of one of the greatest movies. I'm totally in, cannot wait to watch this one. Now, if Peppermint wasn't enough for you on the 1st, on the 7th, they're adding Ava, which is a very similar sort of femme fatale action movie starring Jessica Chastain. This is a 2020 release that did not get very good reviews, but it just punches below its weight because it's got such a good cast, including a villain played by Colin Farrell. It just doesn't hit on those cylinders, but for something that you're just gonna flip on Netflix, it is pretty decent. And then on the 8th, I could say something a little bit better about this one, which also got mixed reviews, 999. If you love heist movies, crime movies, cops and robber movies, this is a good one, but it's done by John Hillcoat, who is a fantastic director responsible for one of the best westerns to have come out this century, The Proposition. This movie did not deliver because the expectations were so high, again, because of the cast and the director, yet when you just watch it as just a basic crime movie, it is pretty damn good. On the 10th, they add a new series from Japan that I'm very interested in called Alice in Borderland. This is about people transported into a post-apocalyptic virtual game, and it's life and death stakes. It obviously has parallels, very intentional parallels with Alice in Wonderland, but it looks interesting, it looks kind of dazzling. I can't wait to check this one out as well. Hopefully they have good dubbing so that more people can watch it, but if you do enjoy watching things with subtitles, this looks like it's going to be well worth checking out. On the 11th, they add Canvas, which is an animated movie, clearly about an artist. It looks really warm and sappy, not necessarily in a bad way, but it does look like something you might want to have the tissues handy for if you do end up watching this with your kids, but it does look kind of beautiful and again, sort of warm, probably a good pick for the holiday season. And then this one is not from me, but I gotta mention it. It's a big to-do for Netflix. It's called The Prom. This is a big, lavish musical with huge star power. Not my cup of tea whatsoever, but I'd be failing you if I didn't at least let you know if you're into musicals, this is probably gonna be right up your alley.
Nobody gets away with what she did. Nobody.
On December 16th, they add another Darren Van Dam pick, Nocturnal Animals. Now, this is actually directed by famous fashion designer Tom Ford, and he is brilliant behind the camera. He does a really good job with this movie. There's also some fantastic performances from Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Steals the show in this movie, gives the performance of his career. He plays one of the best bad guys I've seen on screen in a really long time, but this is an art movie. It is for the art movie crowd. I don't know that a lot of other people are really gonna like it, especially the first 5 minutes or so of the movie. If you're not into art stuff, don't watch this movie. If you watch it anyway out of pure curiosity, I warned you. The Ripper is a Netflix documentary about a serial killer in England, and it looks very interesting. I've loved all of the true crime stuff Netflix has been putting out. Don't have any more details on this one, but I'll be dipping my toe in the water on this one at least.
Once we have the bag secure,
Take them all out.
On the 17th, they add a movie called Braven, which stars Jason Momoa as an action hero. This one is in line with some of the more mediocre action movies that have been on this list so far, but it is kind of cool. This one reminded me a lot of Cliffhanger. While I wouldn't say it's as good as a classic movie like Cliffhanger, it has a lot in common with it, and it is pretty decent. I liked some of the moments in this one. If you like the way this one looks and who's in it and what it's about, you're gonna dig the movie. If you're not interested in it otherwise, I don't have enough to say about it to convince you to watch it, but just the mildest bit of interest there, and I think you will dig it. Now, another one that Netflix is definitely proud of for the month of December is Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This is based on a play by the same name, and it is about a blues singer and trumpet player. The big to-do with this one is that Chadwick Boseman, who just died recently, he's most famous for playing the Black Panther, is in it. And as far as IMDb is concerned, it appears to be his final performance, so there will be a ton of buzz about this one, but it's based on an acclaimed play that won a bunch of awards, so it definitely has my interest there. And then we'll jump ahead a few days to the 23rd, where they add a movie directed by George Clooney and starring George Clooney called The Midnight Sky. This takes place after some sort of cataclysmic event on Earth. There is a researcher in the Arctic who's trying to signal an incoming spaceship to not come back to Earth. It is based on a book by a different name, But Clooney really had my interest when he started directing. He did True Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which I think is an absolutely fantastic movie. Then his next film got nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards. And then the movies he directed just got kind of goofy and they were not very good. So I'll be curious to see where he goes with this one because I was very interested in his directing career at the beginning. On the 28th, they add Rango, which I think is one of the most underrated animated movies to have come out this century. It's just incredibly epic, beautiful design, really wonky but fun performance from Johnny Depp as the voice of Rango, as well as a bunch of fantastic character actors. And again, it's just got this epic action-adventure nature to it. And it's just, while it is respected, people do like the movie, it punches way above its weight and I think is way better than a lot of other stuff that has been coming out over the years. Wrapping up the month here, on the 30th, they add a show that interests me because I do cook. It's called Best Leftovers Ever, and it's people that just have to cook with like half-eaten leftovers. I'll at least check out one episode to see if they can hook me into like a little binge watch session, but I do enjoy and I do miss cooking shows since cutting the cord. And so far, the Netflix ones have not really intrigued me much, but this one has my interest. All right, we're almost to the end where I'll tell you everything leaving for the month, but on the 30th, they add the Best of Stand-Up Comedy 2020, which I guess is a collection of a bunch of the specials that they put out in the year. To me, this seems like it's sort of just a gimmick to get you interested in some of the full specials. However, gimmick or not, it's a good way to get you interested in some of the other specials. Maybe there's some comedians you're not familiar with. You check this out, it could turn you on to an entire new special. I'll be dipping my toe in the water on this as well, just to see if I can find a new comedian I haven't heard of yet. And then finally on the 31st, they're adding the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 4. I know a bunch of you watching are really into this. Mrs. Van Dam included in that. She loves this show and they've been pumping them out at a pretty steady pace, but Part 4 gets added at the very end of the month. But be sure to check out this full list of everything leaving. Just pause the screen if you need to. Things leave on the date listed, which means at midnight, you will not be able to watch them on this date. So be sure to watch them prior to the date listed. Let's also thank the Patreon supporters who just continue to support the channel. There's more of them now than ever. If you are interested in becoming one, there's a link in the description below. There's also a link down there to the CyberGhost deal. I recommend jumping on that, and channel memberships where you can get access to exclusive videos for channel members only. There's a bunch of videos already there. Again, check out those links in the description, but I will keep making episodes like this one as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for watching this one, and you will see me on the next one.